Who's to blame for the Canadian housing crisis? So many Canadians can no longer afford a home. And why is that? And who or what caused that? Well, in this video, I'm going to cover off a Yahoo Finance article that covers off the Canadian housing crisis and the causes of it. And one thing that's really interesting is that they don't think the cause is inventory or the lack of inventory, which is what a lot of other experts say. So make sure you stay until the end because I will share what they think the cause is. So let's get to it. Hi everybody, my name is Connie Sarvanandan. I'm a real estate agent and investor here in Toronto and the GTA, and I think we should just get straight to the article. Okay, so this is the article and I will try and link to it down below if copyright allows me. And this article is from Yahoo Finance. I tried to find different sources to review every week so that we have a variety of different opinions. So it's from Yahoo Finance and the article's title is Canada's Housing Crisis, Shortages Aren't to Blame. And it's by Andrew Button and from the Motley Fool. So basically, what this article starts off with is that Canada is in a housing crisis, and it's not just for buyers, but it's for homeowners as well. And so it's saying that for the past decade, housing prices have increased, rising much faster than incomes. And according to Mortgage Broker News, house prices have risen now 41.9% faster than wages since 2015. So housing prices have grown over 40% faster than wages. And that means houses have become less and less affordable over the last 7 years. The next two paragraphs talk about 2022 is showing a reversing trend on some of these price gains, and we've seen since the peak in February, the prices have come down across Canada about 18.5%. And they're saying, well, that sounds like it's a good thing, that it's causing another problem, and that's for those people that have bought at these higher prices, they're losing equity. And there is a double whammy for them because not only did they buy when the prices were high, with the mortgage rate increasing so much, they're also seeing their payments go up incredibly high. So it's a double whammy for those people. So overall, they're saying that this housing crisis is not just for first-time home buyers that are finding it difficult to enter the market because of the pricing, but it's also an issue for existing homeowners that are feeling the squeeze from these high prices and this increasing interest rate. If you're finding this content helpful, please like and subscribe. It really helps me know what kind of content you're looking for me to produce. And also, if you have any real estate needs here in Toronto or the GTA, feel free to call, text, email, or WhatsApp, and we'll be sure to help you out. And if you want to talk to me directly, I'm going to put my calendar link below. So the next few articles talk about the fact that since this housing crisis hits across the board. So you're affecting first-time buyers that can't get into the marketplace because of the pricing, and then you're also affecting existing homeowners that are dealing with the high prices that they bought for, as well as the increasing interest rates. They're saying that this is a crisis that's going to be harder to fix than others. And the other thing that they're saying is that there was a BMO report recently which puts doubt on one of the biggest factors that people are always citing as a cause for this crisis, which is lack of inventory. And so what people have said, and all different sources, and I think even BMO said this at one point, was that, our population was increasing more than the available housing, and as a result of it, the supply and demand, there was more demand than there was supply, the prices increased, and they increased significantly over a short period of time. Now, there was definitely other factors like, very low interest rates and other things like that. However, lack of housing inventory has been cited as one of the major factors. Now, what BMO is saying is, no, actually, we think there's another major root cause that did this, and that is investors. And they're saying that, there was enough housing for the buyers and the sellers normally, But investors came in, and investors were the ones that were causing this because they were buying multiple properties, and they were buying them sometimes to rent out, but sometimes they were just buying them on speculation that they can sell it for a higher price in a short amount of time. And this was happening both in resale and in new construction. So that's what BMO is saying really drove this bubble, was that it was this investor speculation. So I should mention, when they say investors, they mean all investors, both foreign investors and Canadian investors. They're saying investors overall were buying up a lot of property and multiple properties. So all investors were contributing to this. And then the last paragraph is really about, are banks to blame? So if you were not around in 2008 for the 2008 housing crash in the US, then you may wonder why this is here. And that's because in 2008, the US had a housing crisis, and what happened was that a lot of people blamed the banks for that housing crisis because they were giving out mortgages to people who were not credit worthy. And as a result, when the market started to shift, those people couldn't pay their loans. And then the eventual outcome of that was $13 trillion in net worth was wiped out due to that. So they're wondering, is it possible that Canadian banks are repeating the American mistake? And what the article does is it shows an example of the Royal Bank, which Royal Bank did increase their loans over the past 2 years, and a lot of those loans were driven by mortgages. But whether or not the banks are responsible for this, well, the reality is the banks were just reacting to demand. Remember, we were at historic lows for interest rates, and so there was a lot more demand. And then also in Canada, we have the stress test, which is a mechanism for us, for the banks to test, or financial institutions to test whether or not an applicant can adjust to higher interest rates. And so that stress test gives some buffer into these crazy changing markets, and whether or not, when mortgage rates rise, whether or not an applicant can handle an increase. So it gives a buffer there. So overall, as a result, it doesn't appear that they would be the banks would be the real cause of the housing crisis. So that's the article. My thoughts on all of this is that I agree and disagree with the article. I agree with the article that it's certainly not just inventory that was driving it. I disagree with the article that I don't think it was just investors that were responsible for this. I think there's a combination of several things that were happening that has caused this crisis. You did have investors coming in. Remember, for the last 2 years, you can make a lot more money in housing than you could in the stock market. So yes, investors were coming in like crazy. Then you had people coming in because of COVID. So COVID created this demand for housing that we've never seen before, and people looking for bigger spaces, and people wanting to get out of their rentals, and all of this other stuff. You also had historically low interest rates. You had all these things that were a combination of what caused the overall crisis. So I agree that it's not just inventory, but I don't think you can blame it on one thing overall. You have to look at the overall picture. So that's it. And if you are trying to buy or sell in this marketplace, then there's strategies that you put into place when you are dealing with a market like this versus the strategies you would do, in February when it was a seller's market. And so you just adjust the strategy to make it work well for you in the market that you're in. And if you have any comments, good or bad, I would love to hear them. Please write them below, because it really helps us know what kind of content you like and don't like. And if this is your first time to the channel, please like and subscribe. And finally, if you have any real estate needs in Toronto or the GTA, feel free to call, text, email, or WhatsApp, and we'll be sure to take care of you. And if you want to talk to me directly, I'll put my calendar link below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.